Well, 7 o'clock, and I see Rick and Catherine just joined. Hi, Rick.
Hello.
And Mike Antonellis too. And so we've got Chris Scott is on phone, on my phone, and she can hear kind of what we're doing. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3. So it looks like we have a quorum. 1, 2. Yes, we have a quorum, right? We have 5 people. So let's, if everyone's all right with everyone, let's get started. With the general business, there's a couple of approved previous minutes, Lauren, and then also if there are any expenses to accrue.
Yeah, so I sent around the minutes from December 3rd. I believe those are the only ones that had to be approved. I can't remember if I sent them right after I made them or just earlier today. So if not everyone had a chance to look at them, that's all right. But if you did, were there any comments?
Does anyone need more time to look at the minutes? Or have any comments? Okay, hearing none, is there have a motion to approve the minutes from that would be from December 2025?
I'll make a motion to approve the December meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, seconded by Brittany. Thank you. Any discussion? If not, just a roll call vote, please. Mike, aye.
Rick, aye.
Brittany, aye.
I was gonna say,
Kathy,
Brian
aye.
raised his hand.
Kathy, aye.
All right.
Brian, aye.
Brian, aye.
Chris, can you hear me? Chris, aye. Chris said aye. Okay. Okay, thank you. Any vouchers?
No, I don't believe there were any vouchers in the last month.
Okay, thank you. So on to the agenda items. I'd like to just skip a few of them for a minute and then go right to number. Oh, there were two twos. Uh-oh, how'd that happen? There's a typo, but to number 3, discuss adoption of a grant agreement protocol, and that's Mike Antonellis is on, and he can talk about this a little bit, just to kind of introduce the topic and maybe for future discussion. But let's talk about this first, so then Mike doesn't have to suffer through the rest of the meeting. You there, Mike? Okay, well, when Mike comes back, we'll go to that topic. But let's go to account updates. I don't have an updated spreadsheet. I don't know if Lauren, if we received anything from the town accountant, but
Sorry, what was that?
do we have anything from in terms of account updates from the town accountant?
Kenny had sent around a fiscal year report so far, I think as of November. He sent around earlier today, but I don't think there's been much activity in the CPC account since then. So I didn't look too closely at it.
Okay. Well, if it's anything, if you can send it to the committee, if it's in a format that we would understand, please send it along. Mike, are you there, Michael Antonellis? You're muted if you're trying to speak.
Yeah, he had put in the chat that his speakers were not working if people were trying to talk to him, so.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, I just replied to him saying we were gonna actually skip to him, so.
Yeah.
Maybe he's gonna, it looks like he just left, so maybe he's gonna try to reboot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next topic, funded project updates. The Pratt Mill Pond Management Plan, it's continuing to work on it. We've got good part of the plan and draft has been provided by the consultant. The target is sometime this spring, late spring probably, to have a draft ready for the town to look at. And nothing new on the Robertson Trail Bridge at this time. The annual report, sent it around. Thank you, Lauren, for drafting much of it. I added some things, but do folks have any comments on the draft annual report? If need be, Lauren could, if anyone wants to, Lauren, could you put it up on the screen? Yes.
Yeah,
have it-
one
you
second,
have
I'll
it
pull it
available?
up.
Okay, thank you.
There was one part that I'm not too sure about, and I kind of discussed this via email with you, Mike, and with Rick. It was kind of some of the financial information with the trust fund matching grant and anticipated local revenue. So I'm gonna share this real quick. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yes.
All right, so what I was just discussing is the highlighted part. Oh, did it go away?
Yeah, it just went away.
That's weird. Let me try again.
All right, it's back.
Okay. Yeah, so the highlighted part, the end of the second paragraph. All right, so I'd gotten some of these numbers from the CPA website and some from town meeting. So the 10% disbursements were made at annual town meeting.
Mhm.
And then from the CP Community Preservation Coalition, I believe, CPC website, I got the other numbers like the 623,000 and 206,000. And as you can see, those don't
Yeah,
really
they
add up
don't
to
Yeah.
like the historic resources account number is not 10%
Right.
of 830,000.
Yeah.
And I think some of these numbers could be based on anticipated values, and the reality was a little different. I'm not too sure the timing of where these numbers came from, I guess.
Yeah.
So if it's too confusing, we can leave some of this out.
Well, I'm pretty sure the number 92,196 came from the town accountant, from Kenny, way back when. Could you maybe try to get a hold of him and ask if he could resolve this? I would
I think I reached out to him after the last meeting. I haven't heard back, but I could check again. This is due
maybe,
on Friday.
well, yeah, Friday, Monday. A lot of people tend to be a little late on these, but yeah, or else just maybe modify it. So just somehow just mention that the 10% distributions were voted on town meeting.
Mhm. Okay.
Like
Yeah,
based
I'll reach out
based
to
on
him.
anticipated revenue, the following 10% disbursements were made. Maybe that would be.
Okay. Yeah. I can reach out to him, see if I hear back by like Monday, because I think he works over the weekends. And if there's some new information, I can have Sue change it really quickly. All right, do something like that. Were there any other comments on this? If not, it's due on Friday. So I don't know if we formally need a vote for approval for me to send it in, but something like that.
Yeah, let's
Probably
have a
next, so.
vote. I make a motion to approve the annual report, 2025 annual report is written with edits as discussed.
Second.
So it's been seconded. Any discussion? All right, roll call vote, Mike, aye.
Aye.
Rick, I, yeah.
Brittany, I.
Kathy, I.
Chris, are you there?
Chris, aye.
Yes, Chris, I.
Chris is here. Okay. Okay, thank you. And thanks, Lauren, for handling that.
Thank you.
And Mike, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Sorry
All
about
right. All right. Okay.
that. Grabbed another computer.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, what we want to do is just as much as possible, skip to the discussion about adoption of the grant agreements and then let you go. So do you want to take it away on that topic?
Yeah, so this came up. I stumbled upon these documents. I had no idea that they existed because they existed before my time here. Mike, I think you. Oh, I'm looking at the email. You circulated it to the committee a few days ago. There's a grant agreement for 2017 and a grant agreement for 2015, and I believe both of those, because I took them from Affordable Housing Trust documents. Both of those are pertaining to Affordable Housing Trust. The transfer of the funds from CPC for housing purposes to the Affordable Housing Trust. And in doing that, these grant agreements were written up in order to structure the expectations for the use of those funds. So there's a little bit of extra paperwork, obviously, in addition to what you have in the not only the record of the CPC's votes to recommend transferring those funds, but also town meeting action and how those articles are written, right? So those all structure how those funds are to be used by the Affordable Housing Trust. This came up because I had submitted to accounting for the closing costs of 28 Hartford Ave North, which, fingers crossed, I'm hoping to schedule the closing for that to transfer that over to Habitat for Humanity shortly. When I reached out to accounting to get a check cut for roughly $200 to cover the closing costs, the question was posed to me of basically, has CPC approved these expenditures that you're now asking for? Because these are through CPA funds that the Affordable Housing Trust is using. Now, other issues regarding that aside, it was ultimately determined that obviously the Housing Trust has custody of those funds and has been entrusted by the town to spend them for the purpose that they are intended for. But when I was looking, that caused me to do just a bunch of research, right? Reaching out to other communities. Hey, is this what you do when you get funds transferred to your housing trust? Are they still going back to the CPC for every expenditure and getting that approved? Thinking obviously the answer to that would be no. And the answer to that is no. But the additional step on that is that no, they don't do that because they have these grant agreements in place, which structures all of that. This is I guess an added protection, but it is common practice, I found, to across all CPA communities to have this policy in place for any of these, even if they're annual, I think. We'll have to follow up on that question now that I'm talking. Is it for every annual transfer that they put this grant contract? I think the answer to that is yes, but I will follow up on that question for myself. But certainly specific projects as well. You would lay out the details of those projects, the expectations and deliverables in this grant agreement language, have that executed by the entity receiving the funds, obviously not always the trust, and by the CPC as well, probably just the chair, once it's voted on. And then you have that as a record for your own sake and the applicant's sake as well, but also accounting sake, I'm finding, right? So they have something to rely upon when they're being asked to cut a check for expenditures that they are comfortable that they can, I suppose. So I guess I'll leave it at that. I mean, I don't have anything to say about those specific documents that you circulated other than to just bring those to everyone's attention so you all have them and are aware that they exist.
Mike,
So-
just to, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Catherine.
Okay, through the chair. Just a question. I was looking at those and I found them relatively cumbersome and duplicative. I mean, basically, when someone makes a request, let's take it away from Affordable Housing Trust and let's say Historic Commission makes a request. That request says what it's for and how it will be spent, and it's
Right.
itemized. And so if that's passed up by town meeting, that's approved by town meeting, we have that information. So, doing this, I mean, one of the agreements talked about regularly providing reports on how it's being expended and stuff like that, which is extremely cumbersome. And that's what it's my understanding we do in the annual report. So I think that we have the information, and maybe we flesh out the annual report more. But it was also my impression that the need to go back to the CPC for permission to spend $200 was unique to the Affordable Housing Trust. It's like once, the town meeting approves money for a certain purpose, that money is spent, like, ponds and lakes and ponds, the money is spent, is reported on. They don't need to go back and say, please, sir, can we please have this money? And so I think it's, I mean, I personally, and I am interested in seeing what you find from other communities, but I'm not sure if they have the same level of, memorialization that we do during the town meeting process, and if their annual reports are the same, because I think we do provide that information. I think we do provide the track record. But
That's a
I do
good
think
question.
at some point
Yeah.
we do have to clarify why the Affordable Housing Trust is being held to a different standard than any other agency, any other use in the town.
Catherine, I think the difference is for, say, lakes and ponds or land stewardship or RecCom, we being the CPC signs the vouchers. Ultimately, we review the invoices and sign the vouchers. The difference is for the Affordable Housing Trust for the Hartford Ave project, the CPC and town meeting transferred the funds to the Affordable Housing Trust, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, and then the question came up in the town accountant's mind was, who signs the voucher? Basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I was kind of the opinion or thinking that, Affordable Housing Trust signs the vouchers in this case because the funds have, unlike most other cases, the funds have actually been transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust. So, and that's really the other place this might come up. Similar situation would be with the funding for the Nipmuc.
Yeah.
The Nipmuc school fields, but I don't know. Mike, I appreciate you letting us know. I would, if this is the practice that most CPC committees seem to be following, I think maybe we need to take a good look at this and begin to follow it. Maybe with a simple, relatively simple, documentation, but just have something that at least explains who does the vouchers, that kind of thing.
Before I respond to anything, looks like you have some other committee members with their hands up.
Oh, Chris.
Rick
And
was
Rick.
first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
okay.
didn't see-
It doesn't matter. All I was gonna say is, for RecCom, we've got the recreation revolving account, there's a parks account, site improvements, miscellaneous beach, and, another one for lifeguards and stuff. Every one of those requires vouchers for any of the expenditures. Even we've had some that are like $7 credits that ended up having to go on the books. Kenny asked for a voucher for it. So,
Oh, yeah. We're definitely
know,
doing vouchers, by the way.
yeah.
Just to
Oh,
clarify.
okay.
Yeah, vouchers are definitely happening. It's a matter of
Oh,
whose
okay.
signature goes on the vouchers.
Got it. Yeah, so once a year, we actually, in our space anyway, in the rec side, we just make sure we know who the signature approver is.
Thanks, Rick. Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, I apologize in advance for not looking this up myself, but when I first saw Mike's email and the agreements that were made back in 2015 and 2017, my first thought was, is this something that's required by the Community Preservation Act? And I just, may have not noticed it when I first read it, when I first joined the committee this past summer or fall. But is this something that, is there a requirement that at least when there's grants made to a housing trust that you have to use this agreement, or is it simply recommended by the coalition that they be done, and we should just, it's a best practice that we should just get in the habit of following?
That is my understanding, that last one, that and when I reached out to different communities, it was not expressed to me that this is a requirement through the act, that this is more just best practice that has been pushed forward by the coalition and adopted by many communities.
Okay. So if the coalition is actually recommending this and has provided a specimen agreement, to use in this type of case, then is that, should we see if there's a consensus among us as a committee to adopt this as a best practice for at least agreements relating to affordable housing trust grants?
Let's hold that question and see what Brian has to say, and then we can come back to that question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I'm having trouble with my computer. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
I'm on my phone. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm glad, Chris, you mentioned that the CPC, the coalition. Months ago, I remember seeing a draft form of a charter agreement or a grant agreement, I should say. So that could be a starting point. It was less, if I remember correctly, it was less rigorous than the two samples that we saw from 2015 and 2017, which I don't know if people had a chance to read them in depth, but they're very, as Kathy mentioned, burdensome. And the other thing too is the first one is something that I don't think any of us would ever want to sign up for, because there's one section about acts of negligence or just or negligence, and there's something else that this money could be any one of us as trustees. The town could go after us to get that money back. So I do want to be very careful as to which agreements, and I'm sure before we would sign anything or recommend which ones to use for any of the CPC grants that we give, that we're very careful just to make sure we don't scare off other trustees or other members of other communities, committees in the town, so they are not afraid to participate in getting any CPC monies. So that, to me, was very, I remember that 2 years ago I made that comment, is that if that first grant agreement was still in place, I could not sign, it would not sign being a trustee for the Affordable Housing Trust. So that's just a key word. But I did feel better when I did see the recommended or the sample of the coalition's grant. So it's something I'm very concerned about. So I just want to raise that flag, and I do want to go forward carefully.
Thank you, Brian. And Catherine has her hand up too.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with what Brian said. I want to apologize. I think I got my back hairs up a little bit because it seems like the Affordable Housing Trust is under the scope in general more than maybe other parts of town government are. I think if Mike, as Mike said, and Chris and folks said that, this is something that is being pushed by the coalition or being advocated for by the coalition. And if there's a uniform document that, recipients of CPC funds do sign, I think that's worth looking at. And if there is reporting, if we can simplify it, I think, as Brian said, the one the Affordable Housing Trust has been sort of saddled with is a little bit more comprehensive than some of the other ones that are out there. So I think it is worth looking at. But, I'd like to have it more, not just targeting the Affordable Housing Trust.
So thank you. So getting back to Chris's kind of asking for a consensus. I don't know if we need a motion or not, but in general, at least going forward with future projects, should our policy be to require these grant agreements? Perhaps we can talk about this more, but perhaps if it's maybe not a $5,000 project, but if it's a really significant project. But just in general, what's the consensus? Any further thoughts on it? I personally would be in favor of it, I believe.
I'd like to, Mike, see if we could have some, I'm in favor of looking at going forward, but I would like to see a sample of one that's close to what we would recommend to make sure that it is something that, like I said, I am very concerned. The only two samples I have seen that the town has applied are restrictive and would prevent many people from participating in these committee rules. So, but maybe it is the coalition's sample, and like I said, it's been a long time since I've looked at it. Maybe we could start there and say it's generic. It just basically defines what the money is going to be used for, which I think is very appropriate and fair. If there's any special reporting back to the CPC, which I think is appropriate and fair, I'm all for that, as long as it's, like Kathy's point, not too burdensome. But I think that townspeople are fair to, and anyone's fair to ask that of us.
I think Rick is in agreement. He's nodding his head. Chris, do you have anything to say about this?
I guess if the committee, if there's any consensus at all that this is at least worth looking into, and Mike, if you think it would be worth having maybe a smaller number of us take a look into this, contact the coalition, and come up with this, not only the sample agreement or agreements that they recommend, but also maybe I've never contacted the coalition. I've just read about it, the materials that you gave me, back in the fall, but I'd be happy to be part of that subcommittee, or however you want to handle it, to look into it and make a recommendation to this committee, within the next couple of months about the use of it or whatever else we might think is a best practice.
Sounds good to me. Any further thoughts? If not, why don't Chris, maybe you and I can talk, and we can maybe figure out how to communicate with the coalition. And Chris, do you have any? Chris Scott, do you have any thoughts?
I would be willing to contact them.
Chris would like to be part of the working group too. So, okay. Any thoughts on this topic for now? Not, we can move on. And Mike, thanks a lot for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, thank you.
We're just, year by year, I think we're improving our processes.
Yeah, and I expect we'll have a conversation about this at the Affordable Housing Trust as well. So, conversation will be ongoing.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Have a good night.
evening. Good night. Okay, so we're back to any possible new CPA funded projects. Anything on the horizon that people care to talk about from the different committees? I have.
I should have.
Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I should have just asked. I should have just asked Mike before he left if the softball dugout field stuff is still going forward. I'll ping him on it. That might be my only thing. I know I had mentioned that was one of those projects that might be something on the docket for the May ATM.
We've got some time to. Yes, Brian. Muted, Brian.
You'd given me a good answer a couple of months ago on this question. It was during the summer when the beach was shut down because of it wasn't geese, it was some other problem.
Cyanobacteria.
The town can do proactively to avoid that? I kind of think from your answer, I don't remember exactly, but that was not the case, but I could be wrong.
Well, there's been quite a bit of discussion the last month or so between the Lakes and Ponds Committee, which I'm a member of, and the REPCOM and the Board of Health, about coming up with a better protocol for dealing with cyanobacteria blooms, harmful algal blooms. And what we're hoping to do is be able to test this protocol out this coming summer rec season. And hopefully the purpose is to still, well, one, of course, to be protective of people who are using the beach and the pond. But the other is to maybe just simplify it and hopefully shorten some of these closures. That right now, the protocol that we're going by is the state's protocol. And it requires, like, if you see evidence of a cyanobacteria blue-green algal bloom, you close the beach, take a sample, and then you have to take another sample in a week, another in a week. So you have to, but also have to get someone out to take the sample, which takes maybe a few days. So basically, most of these closures last 2 weeks. And we're thinking that we could be protective of human health with much shorter closures, because most of these blooms have been that we've had so far. There's like a surface. There's a bloom evident on the surface of the water, maybe in a little cove near the beach, or maybe at the beach, and then that disappears within a day or less. And then we're stuck with this prolonged closure protocol. And we think we can do better and still protect public health.
Is there any need for CPC funds to help whoever committees are doing this work?
We haven't talked about that. Lakes and Ponds hasn't talked about that yet. It is, I guess it's possible. There's part of this protocol would involve purchasing some test strips to test for the cyanotoxins, the toxins that are released by these cyanobacteria, and maybe some also laboratory testing. It's possible. We hadn't really discussed it too much yet. Lakes and Ponds met Monday, just a couple days ago, and we're working on our budget for sampling in general, and there wasn't talk about coming back to the CPC. It was probably more like going to be a warrant article request, out of general funds.
And I think RECCOM, obviously there was I think after after Mike and others left, we had pretty unanimous support that we would like to move forward and try to put our best foot forward in supporting that. I think Board of Health is on board with it as well. So it gives us a little bit more of an actual readings of what some of the water count activity things are. Therefore, yeah, the bloom might be out there, but if it's still within a safe limit for activities, and you test again, 2, maybe 3 days later, and they're back to what they were, 3 or 4 days ago, gives us a little bit of a better footing of saying, hey, we should, we should get back to this sooner rather than later. So, because there's, for us anyway, there's some revenue impact. Not huge, but enough where it probably covers the cost of the water testing kits. So even if that's a zero-sum game in terms of revenue loss for beach sales, or gate ticket sales, or downturns of kids at play or something along those lines, and we're preserving the health of the community, all the better.
Yes. So if there is an opportunity that I, for one, as a committee member, would think that'd be a very good effort or project for us to, anything to do to help accelerate that, whether it's testing, kits, other types of labs, expediting. That's just my viewpoint. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's a shame to see that beach closed.
Yeah. Thanks for your support. Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to add one thing to that whole discussion is long term or longer term. We do have I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but we've been studying the pond now for about 3 years, and at least the last couple of years, very clearly, there's a blue-green algal bloom that occurs on the bottom of the pond. Now, those, for the most part, those organisms on the bottom of the pond don't influence the beach. That mat kind of broke up last summer, floated to the top, and that was a reason for one of the concerns last summer. But it disappeared very quickly. Like when it just happened that Dave Connors, who's the chair of the committee, he lives on the pond, and he happened to see it and took a photo of it, but it was gone within a day or so. But that said, we're thinking about ways to maybe reduce the likelihood of that mat forming in the future, and that would require some significant funding through treating the pond with a chemical that binds phosphorus. And so someday the committee might be coming back for a discussion about that. But and we've got the consultant on board, TRC, who's writing this report for us, and there'll probably be some recommendations in their report about how to go forward. Right, and I probably don't have anything in terms of like open space or land stewardship. There's one problem we have at Whitney Conservation Area, but I don't think it's really CPC eligible. There's a bunch of dead ash trees that need to be removed from a safety standpoint. I think it's more of a maintenance issue. We'll probably, I'm not sure how we're going to ask to have that funded. It may be an article at town meeting, just a general article, but it's potentially, $10,000 to $15,000 expense, something like that. It's like about 9 dead ash trees. They're all killed by the ash borer, emerald ash borer, and some of them dead branches hang over trails right now. So there's a safety concern. Any unanticipated topics anybody has? Hearing none, All right, that's good. Schedule next meeting. Are we still on board for the first Wednesday of the month? That would be, I'm not sure what the day is next month. Are we still on board for that?
That'll be the 4th, yeah.
February 4th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, thank you all, and Chris, let's get together sometime and talk about
Okay,
contacting the coalition and maybe coming up with something to share next month.
okay.
All righty.
Very good.
Yeah,
All
so
right, very good.
motion to adjourn,
Well-
please.
Yep. Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Chris. All in favor, roll call vote, Mike, aye.
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 Rick, aye.
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
aye. Everyone said aye, so Brittany, everyone, all right.
Yep.